Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. This is a big one. Trump has a huge win, but also there's more lawsuits coming into the key battleground states of Pennsylvania and Georgia. They are making a major change for him, where the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania is siding with the GOP to not count mail-in ballots that don't have a handwritten signature date next to the signature of the voter. If this was in place in 2020, tens of thousands of votes would not have counted for Joe Biden. This is a huge win for Trump, but at the same time, too, this is also where things are getting even worse. Election officials have been caught in Fulton County, Georgia, one of the most prominent counties for voting in Georgia that can either turn the election one way or the other, is now been caught where they have said they're not going to allow any Republican poll watchers over the weekend voting. Trump is now suing the county and the election officials because we have the evidence of the email that I'm going to show you in just a moment, where they said, do not allow the poll watchers into the place for them to observe the voting. This is literally breaking the law in Georgia. It's disgusting. The lengths that they are going to try and commit election interference is insane. Also, new poll reporting is showing that Kamala is losing Wisconsin. And while everyone is watching Pennsylvania, there are a lot of pathways where Trump can win the presidency going through Wisconsin. This is big time good news for the Republican GOP. Also, we have a full breakdown of how the election night is going to go, where you're going to see how the votes are going to come in for the most important states and the most important counties, so you understand that, okay, if we see Virginia, it's probably going to start off blue, but then the GOP comes in a little bit later. So that way you have a good understanding of how the night's going to go. But just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. Man, I'm super excited to show you the news today. And I just want to say thank you to all of our members of the channel. Remember, if you want to join the True Life News fam, the link is in the description. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. Already, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit with the super chat say, I pray this helps feed the hungry and the homeless. You're the best, Joel. God bless your family. Thank you so much, Judy Lynn. Y'all show Judy Lynn some love in the chat, everybody, because we're going to be doing something big for Thanksgiving and helping the homeless and feeding people and showing them love and care. But we got a ton of breaking news to get in tonight because this election interference is real. We're catching it. Check it out.
So Primetime's keeping an eye on early voting across the country. It hasn't been perfect, with non-citizens on the voter rolls, ballot boxes getting firebombed, and, oh yeah, Republicans getting turned away before the polls close. But if you point that out, you're a bad guy.
Does it seem like this week Donald Trump is laying the groundwork for contesting the election by complaining that cheating was taking place in Pennsylvania?
We are news people, even though we have opinions, and we have to report the whole story if we bring up part of the story. So yes, he's upset about Bucks County, but he was right and he won in court. That's the story.
Boom.
I don't appreciate being lectured about reporting when many times you come here saying lots of things that aren't.
I won't
based
come
in
back,
fact.
Jonathan. I'm done. I'm done.
He just quit.
Hugh Hewitt quit his job at the Washington Post today, live on the air.
Boom.
Because they wouldn't let him tell the truth about what's actually happening in Pennsylvania.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but you see, people, everybody is getting fed up with the lies and the gaslighting. That was he's been there for a long time at the Washington Post and literally just quit on air because they're so fed up with, like, guys, stop lying to the American people.
Those aren't the only shenanigans in the Keystone State, though. Last week, election officials in 3 different counties noticed stacks of fake registration forms piling up.
Lancaster County detectives began investigating the voter registration applications and immediately found applications that were indeed fraudulent. Indicators of fraud included inaccuracies with the addresses listed on the applications, false personal identification information, as well as false names.
And now we know who's behind it. A Democrat-aligned group from Arizona, Field Media Corporation, that works almost exclusively with anti-Trump outfits. Once the news broke, they wiped their website off the internet. We still don't know really the scale of this operation.
I'm telling
this
you.
This investigation's still ongoing.
It's all coming from one side, everybody. It's all on the Democrat side because you can't make this stuff up. Look at this. This is broke today. This is literally circulating. This is the literal on the left. This is the Georgia Republican Party that said it has come to our attention that Fulton County election officials are planning to open for 4 election offices this weekend to accommodate voters to hand return absentee ballots. But all the drop boxes should be closed. This is a blatant violation of Georgia law. So this is what they're going through on the left side because they're not allowing the poll watchers from the GOP Republican to be there to observe. On the right side, you see that there is an email that says there are no watchers approved for ballot drop-off. Do not let them in the building. If they want to observe from the parking lot, you can't stop that, but they are not allowed to sit in the building. Literally, election interference. We have the evidence. You cannot make this up. And it's sad to say, right now, it's come down a little bit. Trump is still winning in the betting markets. Remember, we got to follow the money. He's still beating Kamala Harris big time. But Arizona, 76-24 for Trump. And then Pennsylvania, 55-45. Wisconsin, 52-48. But that's for Harris. It's done flipped. So I'm telling you, everybody, we're watching this like never before. The news that's coming out is insane because Democrats are upset about they're losing a lot of votes, but at the same time, we are catching them committing fraudulent voting, just interference big time. On top of that, check this out.
Used right now, they've been calling Trump racist for 8 years, but somehow his poll numbers with blacks and Latinos keep going up. So The Daily Show sent actor John Leguizamo undercover to study Hispanics who are MAGA curious.
To get the unvarnished truth, I disguised myself as a representative of a pro-Trump super PAC. What do you like about Donald Trump?
He's not evasive. It's pretty clear. I mean, this is someone that's been at the forefront for a very long time, speaking his mind.
When he was on the government, the economy was better than we have it right now.
When I name an issue, and you're going to raise either 1 or 2 or 3 chilies to signify how spicy the issue is for you, okay? The economy. Wow, damn, 3 chilies. That's spicy, spicy, spicy.
This little experiment wasn't really designed with an open mind. Leguizamo was there to change their minds.
Let's see if witnessing Donald Trump's rhetoric firsthand makes them want to vote for him more or less.
On my first day back in the White House, I will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration, stop the invasion of our southern border, and begin the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
It's an excellent way to fix a very, very severe problem.
If he's saying immigration is a problem, it's like you have a leak in your house. You got to turn it off, the water supply. Fix it, then turn it on. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. Like, let's close down the border for a while. So.
But who would you call to fix your leak if all the Latinos are gone?
Did anybody change their vote?
I want to thank you for being here and for being so honest with me. But I have not been so honest with you. My name is not really Ron Cruzmano, but John Leguizamo.
Oh my gosh!
I know that came out. Now that I've shown you all these awful things about Trump, does that change your vote?
No.
Democracy.
I love
It wasn't just The Daily Show. MSNBC went all the way to Arizona to try to find Latinos who'd like Kamala. They found this guy instead.
I love that he's not censored by anybody.
Do you think some of the things he says are offensive or inflammatory?
I think he can be over the top sometimes, but that's just one of the reasons why I like him. I think if Kamala gets into office, I don't think much will change. I think it'll get worse.
Johnny hears the same thing on the streets every day from people of every race. And it's not just because they like Trump's policies. They dislike how Democrats talk about them.
These are deplorable people. Anyone in 2024 that is willing to vote for Donald Trump is deplorable.
Wow.
And it's a morally indefensible position.
This is actually how dictators talk about their peasants. It's not how we talk about our people in a democracy. They insult you, lie about it, then just go in for seconds. They claim they're going to bring the country together, calling Americans sexist Nazi garbage and then telling them to lie to their spouse and vote Harris. Typically not how you get people to vote for you. This is trash talk for people who can't talk about their views right now.
I'm telling you guys, it is the rhetoric. Like, they keep saying Trump's rhetoric is bad, but it's not even close to what we see coming from the other side. But I got good news for y'all, because it's really important to hear what's happening behind the scenes. Freedom, thank you so much for the super chat. The Lord shall give, which is good. Psalms 85:12, let's go. Y'all show Freedom some love in the chat, everybody. But I'm telling you, listen to this, because this is what's happening behind the scenes. You do not see what I'm about to show you on mainstream media. Check this out.
Okay. First of all, revelation for me today regarding the battleground states. It remains the base case that Vice President Harris is unlikely to win, according to my sources in both parties. Not sure thing, but unlikely to win Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona. If she doesn't win those three states, she must sweep Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. As forecast here a long time ago, it appears that she's basically back to where Joe Biden was on the eve of the debate. One electoral college path to exactly 270 electoral votes. So our intense focus for the rest of the way will be to continue to monitor to see whether she can actually win North Carolina, Georgia, or Arizona. Does not appear to my sources now that she will. Can she win the three Great Lakes states?
Oh, sorry.
And the focus has been on Pennsylvania. Here on this platform, we did a 2-hour show called It's All About Pennsylvania. And what I'm here to tell you tonight, based on my reporting with Democrats and Republicans nationally and in both those states, that it could be that Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania but loses the White House because she loses Wisconsin. Michigan remains a bit of a puzzle. Both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are doing dueling rallies near each other in Wisconsin tonight. Fitting, as far as I'm concerned, for my reporting, because as I said, my reporting is that she's in trouble in Wisconsin. This is based on 3 sources, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat, all of whom know the state quite well, and all of whom told me today the same version of they would be somewhere between surprised and shocked.
Oh, come on.
On Wisconsin. Okay? Doesn't mean she's not going to. All I'm telling you is to reorient yourself away from news framing that says it's all about Pennsylvania. The winner of Pennsylvania will win this election. That's become kind of a mantra. The winner of Pennsylvania will win. I'm here to tell you, she may well win Pennsylvania and win the election, but she could win the Pennsylvania and lose the election because she doesn't win Wisconsin. Watch Wisconsin. Washington Post poll today of Pennsylvania, 48-47 Harris within the margin of error. On message, a Republican firm did some polling. Put that tweet up, please. It's a Republican firm, but they're very good pollsters. Alex Castellanos can testify to that. Very friendly with them. You put that up? Poll tweet? Yes, maybe. All right. A bunch of polls that show Trump ahead, but margin of error stuff.
Trump ahead, everybody, in Pennsylvania. This is like it's going to go either way. That's the thing that a lot of people are concerned about is, does Trump have to win Pennsylvania? Well, it would be good if he won it, but there's other stuff happening on the other side. This is the stuff that I want to show you that's happened on the other side. These are videos that have gone out of what we can expect even if Trump wins, people. This is huge. Watch this.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Oh, man, come on.
They're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in civil war conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what the great 14th Amendment means. And I'm glad that Sherilyn's creating her new center so we can bring...
Do y'all hear that? They're talking about the 14th Amendment. They're talking about that even if Trump wins, that they're going to tell everybody Trump cannot be president. They're already preparing for what could happen if Kamala loses or if Kamala wins. You cannot make this stuff up, people. We're showing you what the Democrats are saying even before we get to the election and see if somebody wins. But what's most important too is just understand that how election night goes does matter. Check this out.
Eric Daughtry put this tweet out with some stuff we'll be paying attention to. He says, I'll send this out on election night, but here's how to read the results. So he notes correctly, obviously, states count votes differently in different orders. I told you, it's not a national election. It's a series of state elections, right? Trump will lead Virginia, he notes, early in the night. He will. That happens all the time, okay? Florida will be the most Democratic earlier in the night because that's the mail-in and early vote drop before the election day drop. So let's get that out of the way. Don't jump to any conclusion in Virginia. Trump's up 11. Disregard that. Florida, don't pay any attention until like 20, 30, 40, 50% of the votes counted, okay? So good. We want to know what not to pay attention to, too, because I don't want people getting all excited, okay? He says, don't read it as a horse race. You want to play in a long game that night. But he says, for instance, this is a good one to pay attention to. Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, should have their vote in pretty quick. It's watch it. If Trump is outdoing 2016 there with most of the vote in, safe to say, because he won in 2016, so if he's doing better, safe to say his odds rise in Pennsylvania. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. We'll be communicating with some people, hopefully Eric included throughout the night. We'll keep our eyes on that. He wrote, the New York Times needle. You know that needle? Chances of winning? Forget it. I'm just telling you, he's saying too, be very skeptical of like that. And he's got some more stuff in the tweet as well. He says, watch Georgia and North Carolina for statewide results first. Pennsylvania will be slower. He said, obviously watch Wisconsin, Michigan, and the West Coast swing states. They'll take a little bit longer too. But here's the takeaway. Georgia and North Carolina will set the tone for the night.
Yes.
If Trump is absolutely thrashing in North Carolina and Georgia, that bodes well for Pennsylvania and other battlegrounds. This is invaluable information.
So that's the things that we're going to be looking at, Georgia and North Carolina. Remember, we're going to be doing a stream and showing you throughout the night all the polls, what is happening. We're going to be here on True Life doing that for you, providing you all the news as it happens across X, not just from Fox or anything like that, but as the news comes in across the board. Also, too, want to note that some new news came out that because of the jobs report, it is literally hurting Kamala Harris big time in the polls. Check it out.
Put the nail on the head here, which is that 12,000 jobs were created last month, and all of them were in the government sector. We actually lost last month 28,000 private sector jobs. We lost 46,000 manufacturing jobs in the United States of America. And we know that so many of those manufacturing jobs are the foundation of the middle class in the United States of America. They're also the foundation of American self-reliance. Donald J. Trump believes that in America, we ought to make more of our own stuff with our own people in our own country instead of relying on foreign countries to make our stuff. It's common sense. And you know, one of the biggest drivers and the biggest drivers of Kamala Harris's failure and the biggest contrast between her and Donald J. Trump is that for the last 4 years, Kamala Harris has waged war on the American energy sector. She's made it harder to drill, made it harder to frack, made it harder to build pipeline to get oil and gas from one place to the next. And when Donald J. Trump is president, it's very simple. We're going to drill, baby, drill. That is going to do... That's going to do more to lower energy costs, but it's also going to do more to lower costs on everything. You know, when Kamala Harris, they ask her this question, they say, well, you know, what are you going to do about lowering the price of groceries and gasoline, lowering the price of housing? And she'll say, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. Or to Don's point, she'll say, you know, when I worked at McDonald's, I made the hash browns, and I was very, very good at it. And anybody with an ounce of common sense is saying you didn't answer the question. What specifically are you going to do? And importantly, what are you going to change about what you've already been doing for the past 4 years, which has driven up the cost of goods? Think about this. If the truck driver who's delivering the groceries to the grocery store is paying 45% more for diesel, all of us are paying more for our groceries. If the guy delivering the lumber to the job site is paying 40% more for gasoline, then all of us are paying more for housing. If we want to unleash the American economy, if we want to lower prices for our fellow citizens and create more private sector jobs, we have got to stop buying oil and gas from tin pot dictators all over the world. Let's buy it from our own people, our own territory, and our own country. And there's so many contrasts, so many differences where Kamala Harris wants to open the southern border. President Donald Trump is saying, if you came to this country illegally, pack your bags because in 3 months you're going back home. That's a very simple difference.
Boom.
Where Kamala Harris has facilitated the Mexican drug cartels doing business in the state of Nevada and Arizona and all over our country, Donald J. Trump is saying, let's go to war against those drug cartels and stop the flow of poison into our country. Where Kamala Harris is going around bragging that she's going to raise your taxes. Look at the details of her tax plan. Don't trust the slogans. Her tax plan, she is bragging that she's going to raise taxes on American families to the tune of thousands of dollars per year. By the way, while she's rewarding foreign countries and foreign corporations for shipping American jobs overseas. You know what Donald J. Trump wants to do? He wants to cut your taxes and penalize the corporations and the countries that are shipping American jobs overseas. It's very simple.
Super simple. And it's crazy when you say we need to have a secure border. Oh, you can't say that. That doesn't make sense. You want to know something crazy? We have the evidence. There has been more lawsuits that have happened this year to try to get free and fair elections than any other year possible. Don't believe me? Over 4 million non-citizens have been removed from voter rolls, not because the states did it, but because they were sued and they lost in court, and that's how it happened. Look at this.
Sued California, settled the case, 1.2 million names removed. New York settled the case, 450,000 names removed. Pennsylvania, we sent them a warning. One county removed 69,000 names. Many more were removed as a part of a settlement. Kentucky, 500,000 names removed after a consent decree. North Carolina removed a bunch of names. In total, approximately 4 million names were cleaned up in the last year and a half, 2 years, as a result of Judicial Watch's litigation.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but did y'all hear that? Over 4 million dang names have been removed from voter rolls. This is what it takes. We literally have to go to court and sue states to do their dang jobs to get non-citizens and people off the voter rolls that shouldn't be there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
But we're just not going to stop because Illinois, their rolls are a mess. California, their rolls, even though LA County removed 1.2 million names, the rest of the state is still a mess.
And that's the thing, guys. Think about it. Never have we ever been able to see the amount of just blatant election interference. And they keep saying what? Oh, this is not happening. Oh, it's literally, you're just being an election denier. Well, check this out. They literally call it a tsunami of legal cases that are coming up against states because they will not follow the dang law. Check it out.
Former U.S. Attorney and Right on Crime Executive Director Brett Tolman. Brett, good to see you. Listen, there is a tsunami of legal cases that courts have to get through before Election Day. One, can we get through all of them? And also, what do you think are the most important? Again, deciding what ballots get tossed into the basket is important because once they're in, you can't pull them back out after Election Day.
No, that's right. Sean Dagan, thanks for having me on. I will tell you, the reason we're seeing so many lawsuits right now is this primary factor, and that is the lawsuits before the election are 1,000 times more important than the lawsuits after an election occurs, because you have the ability to try to straighten things out. Think how impossible it was to try to legally challenge the election once it's over, right? And so I think what you're seeing is a far more organized group of Republicans and think tanks and lawyers that are trying to make sure that they get in front of the courts all of those lawsuits to straighten things out before it becomes too late. The most important ones are the ones where we see in Pennsylvania, we saw what happened in a county in which they shut down early voting. It seemed apparent that it was because Republicans were voting much higher percentages in early voting than they had previously. So what happened? The court came in. They said, no, you are going to leave it open like you're supposed to until 5. And I'm also going to add a couple of days because you shut down early voting. So let's hope they continue and that the judges will start to review these and issue decisions quickly.
I want to raise, what's the Justice Department's role in all of this is nil. And we talked about this the other day with Carrie Kupak-Oban, that Attorney General Bill Barr kind of changed the approach to allow the DOJ to investigate credible allegations of fraud in real time. And Merrick Garland reversed course on that. And they have to wait now until after the election's certified. They're just such weasels.
And Dagan, you are highlighting such an important factor that it's really offensive to those of us that were U.S. attorneys or we served at high levels in the Department of Justice. When I was U.S. attorney, we had dozens of election fraud investigations that we were running because it's such an important part of the Department of Justice's mandate to make sure that we have a fair national election. But Merrick Garland has abdicated that, and there's a reason why, and that is because the same mentality they took to the 2020 election, they're now acknowledging that there were irregularities, that there was fraud, that there were problems in multiple states. And here we are again with Merrick Garland abdicating his responsibility for a fair election across the country.
Striving for fairness.
And that's it, guys. It's the whole point is just, can we get fair elections? Well, guess what? We found something else out. The Pentagon has failed to send absentee ballots to active military service members. Well, guess what? Overwhelmingly Republican. Why is it that, I'm serious, it's like a coordinated attack to try to keep Republicans from voting because they know that if Trump gets in, he's going to clean house. Thank you so much, Deanna Scott, a member of the channel. For the super chats, they said, how can they push the 14th Amendment? Isn't that election interference? It's absolutely disgusting that they can do what they want to benefit themselves and not be held accountable. Enough is enough. 100%. Y'all show Deanna Scott some love in the chat, everybody. Hey, Deanna's an OG. She's been with us for a while. But I'm telling you this, it's all by design. You see that it's 100% election interference. Look at this. This is state by state of all the battleground states. Look at the left-hand column, unauthorized migrant population, tens of thousands. Look at the percent increase since 2021. 401%, 446%, 241%. Arizona, 734%. All this is by design, everybody. You cannot make the numbers up. You can't make this data up. And what's sad is that Trump wants to get in, clean house, but he's literally, we're fighting the machine. We're fighting the establishment. But what I love is that Trump has a good group of people around him. Not only him, but other governors that are fighting for the truth. Check this out.
Sarah Sanders. Sarah, thank you for doing this. Sarah, I would say that you are a strong, intelligent woman who's worked with Donald Trump, and I don't know what Mark Cuban is talking about. You're like the prime example. Anyway, when you heard it, what'd you think?
I mean, how insulting to the millions of women who have supported, voted for,
cheered on, and frankly been empowered by Donald Trump's policies. It is absolutely absurd, but not only that, it's laughable to think that Mark Cuban can insult that many women across our country, particularly when the left can't even tell you what a woman is, much less to go after and attack those who have supported this president. I think it's going to be one of the key differences that we're going to see propel him to victory on Tuesday, and something I'm very excited to see, because we have got to get rid of the Biden-Harris failed policies. We can't trust them to tell the truth about Donald Trump, and we can't trust them on the big things that are happening around the country, whether it's the economy, the border, national security. They fail time and time again, and America is desperate for change, and Donald Trump's going to bring that on Tuesday.
Sarah, you know, this trash talk, mudslinging, name-calling, you know, fascism and Hitler and all this utter... Look, you were in the Oval hundreds of times yourself. I don't know, did you ever hear him talk about Hitler? Did you ever hear him, you know, talk about Benito Mussolini, for heaven's sakes?
Not only did I not hear that, but what a disgusting thing to say, to compare a president who literally did so many great things for our country, has time and time again taken hit after hit after hit, and continued to keep fighting for this country because he loves America. And how disgraceful to say that word, use that term, and to equate him to someone so evil, so awful. I think it's one of the most disqualifying things that we've heard from this campaign, and they've had a lot of disqualifying moments, but that I think ranks at the very top of the list.
I mean, you know, Governor Sarah Sanders, the last few days of the campaign, you've got all this mudslinging and trash talk and, you know, smearing him and so forth and so on. Is kind of backfire. I mean, there is still a slice of so-called independents. Some of those independents may well be women. Do you think it'll backfire? Do you think it gives Trump an extra point or two someplace, some states, maybe across the country?
Absolutely. Look, in politics, you can expect it to be difficult. You can expect there to be plenty of back and forth. My dad told me long ago, if you don't like the sight of your own blood, don't run for office, because you're going to see plenty of it. This is a full contact sport, so I don't think anybody is expecting that it will be a cakewalk. But the level of, I think, just disgraceful comments that have come from Biden, from Harris and their supporters, when it comes to calling half of the country garbage, comparing them to one of the most evil people to ever walk the planet, those are disgraceful, disqualifying terms, and I think it is definitely going to backfire, and it will be one of the, I think, key reasons that you're going to see not only their bad rhetoric, but their bad policies are going to be the reason that Donald Trump wins on Tuesday and wins big. And I think that the country is going to be infinitely better because of it.
You know, I remember a couple years ago, you gave a fabulous State of the Union rebuttal, Joe Biden State of the Union rebuttal. And if my memory serves me, I know I'm old and infirm, but if my memory serves me, Sarah Sanders, you set up this paradigm of normal and crazy. Remember the normal and crazy? I think that's kind of the way you put it, comparing what common sense would dictate versus what you were seeing out of the far left Biden-Harris. Now, if I'm wrong, please tell me what the exact wording is. But I think that's what you were saying. And I just wonder, it's sort of like now, today, everything you said way back then is even truer.
Larry, I would never say that you were wrong, especially not on your own show, and I don't think you look a day over 40. So you certainly have all the energy of a 20-year-old and the look of a 40-year-old. But you're exactly right. This race, and I think that the decision point for America is, do you want to go down the path of crazy policies that we're seeing under the left and under the Biden-Harris administration? If you like the direction that they're taking our country, they're there. If you want normal, empowering policies, then Donald Trump is the candidate that you need to vote for and support. And I hope that millions of Americans will do exactly that and make sure that their voice is heard loud and clear, and that we remind the left that we do not want their crazy policies infiltrating our homes, our schools, our businesses, our communities, but we want to be empowered to make our own decisions, and that's exactly what Donald Trump is going to deliver, and one of the key differences in this race, and I think it will be a deciding factor on Tuesday.
Yeah, just the last one. I mean, it's the economy and inflation, of course. It's the open border and the crime wave. But you know what else? I mean, these woke values, they're ruining the culture. A lot of people, common sense people, ordinary middle-class working folks don't like the woke cultural stuff, as you say, whether it's in schools or, biological men playing women's basketball. I think there's a quiet revolt against that that's going to show up. The polls may not pick it up, but it's going to show up in the votes, Sarah. There's a cultural revolution, a cultural rebellion going on.
It's people who absolutely love our country and want America to remain the greatest country on the face of the planet. We still want America to stand for something.
Yes.
The reason America is great, the reason that it is the best country that the world has ever known is because we're the freest country that the world has ever known. And we have a government that is set against and wants to take away that freedom. But thankfully, there are millions of Americans who are not going to allow that to happen. They're going to stand up, they're going to make their voices heard, and they're going to vote for Donald Trump on Tuesday and remind the left that we don't want their bad, destructive policies infiltrating every aspect of our life. And that's exactly what we're going to see. And it's one of the things that I'm proud to cast my vote in support of a president and in support of a person who I know is going to continue to fight for the freedoms and the things that make America such a great country.
Terrific. Governor Sarah Sanders.
I love it, man. Sarah, I'm telling you what, we have some amazing women that are helping us to run this country. And what Mark Cuban said is absolutely disgusting. Because again, too, it always boils back to putting America first. This new poll came out. This is a Gallup poll. It's a legitimate poll. They did a polling. They asked them, are you in favor of voter ID? Do you favor or oppose requiring all voters to provide photo ID at their voting place in order to vote? 84% said yes. So I don't get it how we have politicians who say that the American people don't want this when we obviously do. Yet they only have it in a lot of the states where they don't have it is very blue states. Why? Because I just showed you earlier. In the past year and a half, they've removed over 4 million people from the voter rolls because courts forced them. They were sued. The RNC and team sued the states to remove over 4 million. They want them on there because it's easier to cheat. It's easier to commit voter fraud, and how would you ever know? You can't. If you don't check for voter ID, how would you know? A signature? No, that doesn't matter. But I'm telling you this, we've got good people that are going to be running Congress. I think, listen to this. This is a big plan that Mike Johnson has come out of what they plan to do with Trump in the first 100 days to get America back on track. Check it out.
For the horse, but we have to be prepared to lead on day one. And I've said many times on the campaign trail, we'll have a very aggressive first 100 days agenda because frankly.
And thank you so much, Brian McGavick, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Brian some love in the chat, everybody.
We're going to fix everything. I mean, every area of public policy is a mess. From my perspective, Biden and Harris have made a mess of those things. And so the American people are upset about it. They're fed up and they're fired up, which is why I think we're going to win this election. I mean, everywhere I go, Mono, it doesn't matter if I'm in a blue state or a swing district or a red state. It's the same. People are worried about the cost of living. They're frustrated about the rising crime rates. They're worried about the weakness that we're projecting on the world stage. And of course, the open border and everything that emanates from that. We have solutions to all those great challenges. And we have very credible candidates and incumbents out there in the field making that case. And I think it's resonating well with people.
You talked about this little secret plan that you guys have. I know you said that this is a get out the vote effort.
Yes.
But have you and him talked about not accepting the election results if Harris wins?
Of course not. No. Look, I am a constitutional law attorney. My background is in the Constitution. I have been defending the Constitution my entire adult life. I will do it every day of my life. I've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution. We're going to do our job. This shouldn't even be a question or a controversy.
So if Harris wins, you'd accept the results?
Yes. Look, I'm going to qualify this, and this is going to make everybody freak out again. If it's a free and fair election, I'm saying the exact same thing that Jamie Raskin is saying. All of us, every member of Congress.
Because Trump is already sowing doubts about the election, about Pennsylvania. Does that concern you?
Trump is not sowing doubts. What he and all of us are trying to do is have accountability to ensure that we don't have hijinks and irregularities. I have very hopeful optimism about the efforts that have been taken in so many of the states to clean up the irregularities and the things that were different about 2020 because of COVID. I don't think we're going to have those problems. I think we have a lot more election security measures in place in almost every state. And we're very hopeful. There's a lot of eyes on it. We have precinct captains and poll watchers and people who are, at the ready to make sure that this is an election result that everybody can rely upon. And I pray as more than anyone that's true.
If he wins, he's talked about going after his enemies. Would you dissuade him from doing that?
Watch this.
He is not going to go after his enemies.
He said that repeatedly.
Listen, the Democrats have engaged in lawfare. They used the Department of Justice itself to go after Trump. There were Russian collusion hoaxes, and they covered things up. And they've used the district attorneys around the country to go after him. Okay, that is a fact. There's campaign rhetoric out there. Trump is not going to use the mechanisms of the Department of Justice to go after his enemies. He didn't do it in his first administration. He wouldn't do it in the second. We have had a Trump administration. You can see what the result was. So all this hyperbole trying to scare people, it's nonsense. That's not going to happen. We're going to follow the law. We're going to fix and restore the people's trust in our Department of Justice and our system of justice, which I think is one of the most important challenges we have.
Last question, I'll let you go. I know you expect a majority to be the majority.
Yes.
There's a possibility you may not get the majority. Would you run for minority leader if you guys lose majority?
True, honest answer is I'm not giving 1 second of thought to that because I'm actually insistent upon and believe that we're going to have the majority. So I'm singularly focused on that. We cross any other bridge later, but I think that's what's going to happen.
What's the number going to be?
I'm not going to handicap it. We've all learned lessons about that. I will just say this. I'm going to have a larger majority than I have this time. How about that?
All right, we'll see if that's right.
Guys, I'm telling you, we have to watch. They have a big plan. The Democrats are afraid. They do not want Trump to win. They do not want him to come, clean house, and get rid of the establishment people. Thank you so much, JCG, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show JCG some love in the chat. Barbara, first timer with the super chat, member of the channel. Y'all show Barbara and JCG some love in the chat, everybody. Y'all are killing it today. Thank y'all so much. So right here, look at this. This is a video. Again, I'm showing you this because people need to know. Look at them clicking at the top on Trump. Look. And look, it clicked 2 places below on Kamala Harris. Guys, you cannot make this up. They are trying to rig through these Dominion voting machines, trying to rig the election. You saw this with your own eyes. Look at there. I'm going to slow it down right here. Look at this. It's Trump, and then it's somebody, and then it's Kamala Harris. They're literally clicking the top. And look, right when they click the top, Kamala Harris gets selected. And then they have to click it again, and then it's Trump. This is 100% election interference. I'm telling you, please tell everybody, check your votes. Make sure it was cast for who you wanted, because they're trying through so many ways to interfere in the election with these stupid voting machines. Also, check this out.
More Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, your reaction to all of this?
It really is astonishing. 6 days out, and the closing argument for Kamala Harris is Donald Trump is a Nazi, and more than half of America are floating pieces of garbage. Listen, this is what they believe. This is what they think. As you laid out in your monologue, there's a clear line from calling us garbage to Hillary Clinton calling us deplorables, to Barack Obama saying we're bitter and angry and clinging to our God and our guns. There is an elitist condescension. There's a contempt. And I got to say, I think President Trump put it beautifully, which is you can't lead America if you don't love Americans. And I think the radical left, they look down on us as on a bunch of ignorant rubes. It's why their strategy is based on lying to us And you just showed Tim Walz going, well, we need to be unified. You damn Nazis! Like that's a little out there, and yet that's their closing message.
I'm laughing, but there's really nothing funny about it, especially in an environment where we have had, Donald Trump came within a millimeter of being assassinated. We had an assassin just a couple of hundred yards away from Donald Trump with an AK-47 with a scope on it. They didn't even sweep the area, known to hold paparazzi taking pictures of Donald Trump playing golf. It is beyond repulsive, but then they juxtapose it with, oh no, we're the party of joy. If you elect me president, I'm going to unite the country, whether you vote for me or not. Doesn't sound like it to me, Senator. I've covered a lot of campaigns in my day.
Listen, Trump derangement syndrome is a very real thing, and the extreme left, they've lost their minds. We see that with Joe Biden, who wants to lock Trump up. We see that with Kamala Harris. And we see that with my opponent here in Texas, Colin Allred, who is angry, who is hard left, and yet Chuck Schumer has been explicit that I'm his #1 target in the country. I'll tell you, every single day, Sean, Chuck Schumer is putting millions and millions more dollars into my race in Texas, into attack ads in Texas. Just today, the news broke that this race in Texas is the single most expensive Senate race in the entire country, and we've got over $100 million that is coming from Schumer and George Soros, relentless attack ads. And so I'm so grateful to everyone who watches your show, who's gone to tedcruz.org and has given. And I would ask everyone, we're 6 days out. This is the absolute heat of the fight. Please, right now, go to tedcruz.org, contribute $10, $25, $50, $100 or more. You're going to tedcruz.org is literally the oxygen we need for the deluge that is coming from Schumer and Soros. And it is the hatred, it is the derangement on the other side that is fueling the attacks on Trump and that is fueling the attacks from Schumer and Soros on me as well.
Keeping people like you in the Senate, adding people like Bernie Moreno in Ohio, Mike Rogers in Michigan, Eric Hobdy in Wisconsin would be a great ad for Republicans, Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania. We got great Senate candidates in Nevada, Arizona. This could be, if you're going to vote for Donald Trump and you want his agenda passed, don't you need the biggest majority you can have in the Senate? And don't you need the biggest majority you can have in the House? I hope people will take that into account as they go to the polls. You get the last word.
Well, look, you absolutely do. On the upside, I hope and pray Trump wins. We get a Republican Senate, a Republican House. We'll get big victories. We'll secure the border. We'll cut taxes. We'll end the war on oil and gas. We'll end the wars abroad. Israel will defeat Hamas. But I'll say on the flip side, if God forbid Kamala wins, I think it's likely the Democrats would also win the House, and then the Senate is the last check and balance to stop this country from plunging over the cliff. The reason Schumer's coming after Texas is he sees Texas as how he stays majority leader. So please come to tedcruz.org right now. We need the help right now. tedcruz.org. Thank you.
Guys, I'm telling you, when they throw $100 million plus at a Senate race, they're trying to control what's going on. So this is breaking news. Check this out. There is now 5 Pennsylvania counties that are being investigated for possible fraudulent voter and mail-in ballot applications leading up to the election date. 5 Pennsylvania counties. This is a huge, huge scandal, I think, because it's not one county. It's not 100 voters. It's tens of thousands of voting fraud, election interference. And I do like this meme below, Trump taking out the trash, Kamala and Biden. I think it's pretty funny. But the news is that there is 100% voter fraud out there, and we're catching it. We have the evidence. We have it like never before. And what's amazing is this, because check this out. People are posting, especially in Georgia. You cannot deny the evidence.
When they would press the button, it would switch also. And the other big story tonight, some lawmakers are saying they have received calls from voters across Shelby County complaining of voting issues. The county's election commission says this may be user error, saying it's not the machines. However, some people say that's not the case. WRG's Bryant Didlake is back with more on that story.
Received several calls from constituents who are concerned that their votes are being miscast.
Democratic lawmakers, along with an election commissioner, sounding the alarm. Some voters claiming when they go to select a candidate, the voting machine switches the answer. The group collectively saying people voting at more than half of the Shelby County's precincts are reporting the same issue. One precinct is in Arlington.
It's not like it just completely went to a different party. And that's what's scary to me.
Deanna Rigler says this was the case when she voted with her husband. The poll worker say anything?
She said, don't click on, the box where you usually put an arrow, if you were writing a ballot. And she said, click on the name. It didn't make any difference.
Clicking the name instead of the box, the same advice WREG received after sharing concerns with the county's election administrator, Linda Phillips.
If you aim for the box, you often miss it, and it's touching the one above it. So touch inside.
Do you see this, guys? I'm telling you, the evidence is there. It's literally in our faces. They said for so long, you're election deniers. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. I feel like every single major news outlet needs to go and retract every message that they said about voter fraud. Check this out.
Caroline Levitt, so she can answer that question. Good morning, Caroline.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you guys.
We have it up on the wall. I think we can shoot this, where both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump plan to spend the last 3 days here before the election. And the audience can see the different states and cities where they're going to be visiting. I did notice, Caroline, a lot, all 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, at least a portion of the day in North Carolina. A lot of focus for you guys on North Carolina.
Yeah, well, look, President Trump is holding 10 rallies in the next 3 days, barnstorming the country. It's been more than 70 days, and he has not taken a single day off, and that certainly isn't going to change over the next 3. The Tar Heel state is critical to the path to victory. We're confident President Trump is going to win it for the 3rd time, and if you look at the early voting trends in North Carolina, Republicans are leading. Same goes for Arizona and Georgia. Republicans are doing 20 points better this year with early voting than we did in 2020. So all of the data is showing a big victory on Tuesday night. We are cautiously optimistic, but obviously not taking a single voter for granted. We're focused on encouraging everyone to get out and to vote early for President Trump. Our closing message in this race is very simple. Kamala Harris broke it. President Trump is going to fix it. And it's a stark contrast to the very negative and vitriolic closing message that we're hearing from the opposing campaign.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Garbage and all kinds of stuff coming from the other side about those voting for Donald Trump. I want to talk about strategy because you're hearing a lot of people, maybe it's Nikki Haley, there are others saying it. Donald Trump needs to speak more to women, but it's very clear if you look at this campaign that Donald Trump believes there's a lot of men out there who agree with his policies, who also feel, I would say, upset about all the, attacks on men, with calling them toxic, all the things that make it harder to be a man, including putting food on the table these days, that he's clearly going after the male vote. Can you talk to us about that strategy? Because there seems to be a lot of debate about what he should be doing and who he should be talking to.
Well, certainly there is a big gender gap in this election, and it's a problem for the Harris campaign when it comes to men. President Trump is leading Kamala Harris with men in this country by more than 20 points. But I would reject the premise that President Trump is not speaking to women at all. He talks to them every single day when he is out on the campaign trail because all issues are women's issues. Women in this country want prosperity for our children. We want more money in our pockets. President Trump is offering to do that with more tax cuts and to end inflation. Women want safety and security. Yes. And what has happened in Kamala Harris's America over the past 4 years is every woman's worst nightmare, to have illegal immigrant criminals, rapists, and murderers coming over our border, taking the lives of innocent women who Kamala Harris has never even called, by the way. President Trump is going to protect women and our families. He's going to restore law and order in this country, and he's going to put more money in our pocketbooks. That's an appealing message to women. And again, all of the data we see right now is very encouraging with both genders.
Well, Caroline, we had President Trump on the program earlier talking about that very subject. Here he is.
Well, I know Mark very well. He's a very insecure guy. Can't hit a golf ball more than 50 yards. He's weak physically and mentally, as far as I'm concerned. But I've known him for a long time. You know, he's totally retracted his statement, like, you know, weak people always do. They retract their statements. But he was hit by some of the strongest, not human beings, women. He was hit by the strongest people. That it wasn't men, women, it was women. He was hit by women that make men look like babies, because you know many of the women that I deal with and that I have, and I could go over the list, but the list is long, including the fact that I happen to be married to a rather strong woman who just right now is the #1 bestseller in the whole wide world in her book, Melania. So, no, I've surrounded myself with women. I've given women chances, too. I mean, I had Kellyanne as the head of my 2016 big victory.
So you take that, the comments that Mark Cuban made, and you add them to that Julia Roberts ad where she's saying, oh, hide your vote from your husband. There's almost this cartoonish view of who conservative women are, who all women are, which creates an opportunity for you in the campaign.
Well, what does the Democrat Party offer women? They think the only issue women care about is abortion, which I personally think is incredibly insulting. Again, women care about having money in our pockets. We care about border security and safety in our neighborhoods. And we don't want to be in a World War III where we're going to have to see our children go off to fight in foreign conflicts. President Trump is offering peace and security and prosperity, and that's a very appealing message to women. And Mark Cuban, he certainly learned not to mess with strong, intelligent women who support President Trump. The backlash was epic, and I'm still waiting on Kamala Harris to go to a microphone and condemn her top surrogate, Mark Cuban, for those disgusting and insulting comments to not just the women on President Trump's campaign and all those of us who work for him, but the tens of millions of women who are proud to cast their ballots for him in this election.
Yeah, well, let's talk about strong women. She had a baby while she was on this campaign. I mean,
Mark Cuban taking a direct shot at you, Caroline.
Absolutely.
She's, your son, 3 months old? 3 months? 3 weeks?
3 months, yes.
3 months.
3 months.
Great.
Beautiful baby.
And running a campaign. Caroline,
Let's
thanks for being
go. Let me tell you this. This, again, more and more stuff is popping up, everybody. Look at this. Just came out. Discovery of fraudulent voter application prompts Pennsylvania probe of Arizona company's potential involvement. Remember, we just showed you earlier in the show. This is involving an Arizona Democratic company that has now deleted and scrubbed their face from across the websites. They literally deleted the website, but we still have images of it from where it used to be up. It was a Democratic company that was doing all this canvassing, all this fraudulent voter stuff. And I'm glad that we're finally seeing this like never before. We're showing you guys what's going on. I hope you're getting value out of these shows. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 150,000 subscribers, and it's all because of you. We are here to serve you. And thank you so much to our members. Thank you so much for everybody that's given a super chat donation. Want to give some shout outs to Judy, Lynn Loving Spirit, Freedom, Deanna Scott, Brian McGavick, JCG, Barbara. Thank y'all so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you. We all want America first. We all want to put and make sure that our American brothers and sisters are taken care of. And we want to make sure that the right people get in office. So remember, tell somebody if they haven't voted, go vote and vote for America first. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. And just know that I'm here for you. We're going to be doing a big video, Election Day, starting at 6 p.m. Central Time. We will be on for probably 5, 6, 7 hours. We're going to be eating pizza on the because you know we're going to get hungry. We're going to be eating pizza. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to be doing MAGA hat giveaways. And we're just going to have a great time with the best chat ever. Love y'all. Thank y'all. And see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.